Our three winners this season may be scratching their heads as to how Paul Jenkins leads the points, while the highest of them is Dan Guerin in fourth. This shocking statistic belabors the old racing adage that consistency wins championships. And much like Kansas, today's race will feature incredible speeds and a bit of unpredictability. Not the sort of thing you want when you're looking to settle into a rhythm. But will this also allow Paul to finally snag that first victory? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 5 of the ultimate Conquest Online Racing's Throwback Indycar Series, presented by 9-4 Motorsports. And you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Rocco Stallone. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Sadly, the last time this car ran here, it was an event marred with tragedy. The heartbreaking loss of Dan Wheldon certainly makes any open-wheel event here tinged with bittersweet feelings. But it's a track that has put on spectacular events for decades now. To see some of the brighter aspects of it, let's head down to our track guide.
Welcome to Sin City and Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The sprawling motorsports complex located 20 minutes northeast of the Strip is home to some of the nicest racing facilities in the nation. Known as the Diamond in the Desert, the crown jewel of this facility is the 1.5-mile D-shaped oval constructed in 1996. In 2006, LVMS underwent massive changes, upping the banking in the corners from 12 to 20 degrees and installing progressive banking in the process. The result? One of the most competitive stock car circuits on the iRacing service. Vegas races like a mini restrictor plate track now, with stock cars and trucks alike often spread 2 and 3 wide, several rows deep, several laps into a tire run. The D-shaped front stretch allows for side-by-side racing action to continue down onto the apron as well, and both corners provide equal opportunity to set up a run on the top side or dive down under an opponent on the bottom. Starts and restarts here are especially action-packed, truly one of the most diverse ovals on the iRacing service. In 2018, NASCAR added a second Cup Series date to this track, giving the facility a pair of triple-header weekends with Cup cars, Xfinity, and trucks all competing. Well, that's our look at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It's time to roll the dice. Enjoy the show.
Really is an impressive facility out here in the desert. But Rocco, why don't we go over a few of the stats about this place? Because for IndyCars, this is a beast.
Yeah, Joe, the track layout is your D oval. It's a 1.5 mile track, and these guys are going to be doing laps just over 25.5 seconds at their fastest, maybe even a little quicker, catching some of that air. It's wide open. You maybe a confidence lift here and there. It's something that you want to just keep it pinned, and you hope the guy in front of you can pull you along. It should be exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get this thing started, Joe.
Absolutely. Now, why don't we take a look at the championship first here for the series? I mentioned that we've got such a weird situation going on with Paul Jenkins not having won yet and 4 rounds in and is leading the way. And Dan Guerin is the highest up driver who has won. And he's down in fourth. You can see it's 130 points back, which is as much as it seems, because you can see it's very, very tight between Beard, Bluen, Guerin, and Nate Burke. But then it's 114 up to Paul Jenkins. So somehow he has thrived where everybody else seems to have faltered. Now, of course, we also have a qualifying championship, and this is brought to you by D2 Designs. The championship, of course, brought to you by those folks at D2 Race Designs, where they specialize in creating personalized and customized sim racing peripherals, as well as providing the RC racing community items that make their days at the track more organized and efficient. Season's top qualifiers will a customized button box, all thanks to the kind folks at D2 Race Designs. Beard leading the way there. This one a lot tighter. Jenkins not that far back, trailing him at this point. So we will try and see if that gives us a little bit more excitement in the Drivers' Championship. But I have a feeling that Drivers' Championship will close in as some of those drivers start to figure out how to get wins over Paul Jenkins. So qualifying actually just seems almost over. We got a couple cars on track to try to take that D2 Designs pole. And I see Peter Brennan just finished his qualifying, but that puts him in 34th. We're waiting on Chad Frankenfield to finish his second lap, which we've got him on screen right now. He's coming around to see what this 26.4 can be on the second time by. It's going to be a 25.8, and that will put him in 9th place. So a nice little jump up. I think with about 1:10 to go here, Rocco, I'm not sure that we'll see Christopher Matrizion get out there because he's not looking like he's moving yet.
It's definitely a late time to start a run. It only takes 26, 27 seconds to get a lap going, but he's really cutting it close. Maybe it's a strategy, Joe. Maybe there's maybe he's expecting a little madness up front. There's a large field tonight. We'll see what's going on.
Yeah, that could be the case. Just trying to stay out of trouble. But I don't think he's qualifying based on the attitude of that car right now. So Rocco, why don't you real quick give our audience a rundown of how this race is exactly supposed to go?
Okay, well, we got 133 laps to decide the winner tonight. Fuel's going to give us a pretty large window, a lot of opportunity for some different strategy. Looking at 45 to 70 laps on a single tank of gas. I don't know if the tires would agree with that, but we got one fast repair, which means you get one fast repair if you can make it to the pits. Custom fixed setups. So this is a fixed setup, but it's decided by the administrators of the league, tested by them, and hopefully gives everybody a fair run and something fun to put around these corners.
Well, your D2 Race Designs poll goes to Brian Beard, who takes max points this time around. And let's take that into our grid for today, where as we mentioned, we've got Brian Beard on the point, flanked by Chris Stouffer in second place. Travis Bennett will be starting in third, and Paul Jenkins in fourth position. So again, that consistency. Paul Crumry will be starting P5, and Dan Guerin will be starting in 6. Andy Urick, P7 for him, with Rick Ravon in 8th and Chad Frankenfield in 9th. And we saw qualifying. Nate Burke rounds out your top 10.
All right, Joe, and the bottom half of your top 20 is going to look a little bit like this. We got the, Brandon Schoen in 11th alongside Jason Galvin in number 12. Tyler Graff and Eric Jeffers, and I know Graff, he makes some really cool designs in some of those cars. 15th and 16th goes to Jose Miguel Phillips Rivera. Gaston Arolano in 16th place. Right behind them, Richard Swavely and Brian Yachik in the 18th spot. John Garrett, Andrew Peel, rounding out your top 20, Joe.
Takashi Kita racing in 21st at the drop of the green with Brian Greenlee 22nd. Hugo Galaz will be 23rd. You got Brian Peel in the 24th position. Lucio Vargas, P25 for him, with Jonathan Aliota in 26. Chris Lanini starts 27th. You've got Robert Bluen in 28th, who's outside. Then it's Jeff Wubkert on the inside of the next row, 29th, and Sean Fay rounding out the top 30. Last few drivers going to be Scott Rupp in 31st, Timothy Bates in 32nd, Christopher Matrizion 33rd, and Peter Brennan in 34th. The largest field we've had thus far in this series. So we'll see how this handles on what is probably, I shouldn't say it's the fastest track, because we were at places like California before, which is probably a little bit faster, but still, this is shorter around, so could cause more chaos.
That's a lot of speed for a lot of cars, Joe.
It really is. We'll have one pace lap here, and let's really quickly go over our highlighted drivers this race. And our two that we've got are Andrew Peel, who is actually one of the owners of 9-4 Motorsports, and Sean Fay. So we hop on board here with Andrew Peel. There we see. This is, of course, brought to you by The Highlighted Drivers is brought to you by Midwest Simulation. Sorry, lost track of my script here. You watch the track, we'll watch the rest. Use the promo code THROWBACK for $5 off a set of their Spotlight's visual spotting system. Find out more at MidwestSim.com. The other one was, of course, Sean Fay, who will be our second on board for today. Pace car just getting ready to peel in as we watch this large field line up for round 5. Green flag is out. Brian Beard is off like a shot, and Chris Stouffer does not get a good start that he wants, because inside, that's Travis Bennett, already taking the second place away. He's going to slot into single file. Behind them, up on the high side, Dan Guerin, a little bit strung out as Paul Crumbray is going to get through, but otherwise, first couple corners are looking good.
Brian Beard got a great start for him, easily going to lead this first lap. He was on it. It's up to the guy behind him to get with it, and he just a great jump. First lap, all his.
So far, not quite seeing the pack racing that I was expecting here, as most everybody seems to have gone single file, and nobody really seems interested in trying to fight side by side to get to the front. So Beard retains that top spot. There's Travis Bennett and the black, white, and red giving chase. As they come across the line, he does not make an attempt to get around. In fact, is there any side-by-side in any of the field right now? You have to go all the way back down to 18th and 17th. Yazik trying to hold off Swavely.
Yeah, Joe, trying to let these tires come in a little bit, because you're not really going to lift much, but you need those tires to grip. So it's one of those ideas where you just have to keep going. Got to hope these things come in. I noticed on the first lap, we seemed to have a little bit of a scuffle in the back. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but I did see two cars look like they really fell off the draft really quick.
Travis Bennett did go for a move. Just as I was saying, we had no side-by-side battles, but it failed. Beard stayed ahead, and now Chris Stouffer finds himself in the second spot. You can see back for fourth. That's Crumbray with Paul Jenkins to his outside. Jenkins in the dark black-colored car with the red and white belonging to Crumbray.
Yeah, we see them looking to get a little racy. Fourth lap in, 133 laps to go. You want to keep it clean. You want to establish position early, but these guys are really going at it, making it fun to watch real early.
Oh. Yeah, things getting a little bit tight now. So here's where it starts to pick up. I think you were right about those tires needed to come in, because things getting a little feisty once again. This is looking very reminiscent of what we saw at Kansas.
Yeah, Joe, and when you get in these situations, you don't want to lift at all, because just that little bit of lift, you're going to lose about 3-4 miles per hour, and you're going to watch guys pull away from you, and it happens just like that. You find yourself in the top 5, and then you're looking at them from far away.
We go back to single file. We've got a bit of a side-by-side battle here with Yerk. We watch from Beard's perspective, just continuing to hold everybody back, and Paul Jenkins has to take evasive action back there as he suddenly was surprised by a car down low.
A slight checkup. I think it may have been Rick Ravon. I'm not sure. I don't know, but I think there was a slight checkup, and like I said, Joe, that little dip in speed causes a lot of chaos.
So far, so good, though, and we've got the entire field of 34 cars separated by 10 seconds. That is how tight everybody is staying together. It is Beard, Stouffer, Crumbray, Ravon, Bennett, your top 5 right now.
Yeah, Stouffer looking really content to just kind of ride the back of Beard. He's been taking a peek here and there. I wonder if he's testing his limits, just trying to figure out when to make a move. Guys behind him seem to be doubling up a little bit. Maybe those first couple laps, again, the tires, looks like they're starting to get a little racy 6 laps in.
Ooh, almost drifting up to the outside wall. Rick Ravon was that, or is that Travis Bennett? No, that was Dan Guerin, actually, I think it was, in the number 08, who nearly found himself scraping the outside safer barrier. But he's still trying that outside line. In fact, he's got a head of steam, so this might work out.
Yeah, Joe, we're starting to see a breakaway in the front, about 13 cars, separating them from a group of another 7, but there's a good chunk of space between these top 13, opened up a little bit. Let's see if that second pack can reel them in.
And of course, we haven't had a caution yet, so that could bring them back into it as well, even though they are dropping behind. 10 laps in, not even close to thinking about pit stops yet. Everybody just trying to position themselves. Worth noting as well, Rocco, I took a glance at the thermometer, and it is very appropriate desert temperatures out here because that track is boiling right now. Look at that, 106 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, Joe, and that's obviously making these things very slick, very hot. They're going to just melt off these rims. Something to consider. We see one get down below the apron. Wow, that was a tough one. Oh, and there's a contact, I think, Joe.
I think that was Garin.
Oh, he's
and
around.
That's going to set off that chain reaction you were talking about before.
1, 2,
It was
whoa,
Travis
one hard
Bennett.
in the wall. Whoa, spinning still wrecking back there. And I just hope everybody got through that one unscathed.
The number 14 didn't get through unscathed. I saw some other little bits of contact. This started with a 3-wide bit of contact between, I think, Ravon and Garin. That checks up Ravon. He backs up. And then Travis Bennett is the one that suddenly finds himself getting the worst of it because as he slows up, Tyler Graff is going to get in the back of him.
Ooh. That 14, he seemed to be the pinball and all that, and it looked like he got the worst of it.
I don't think anybody else was involved. I think it was just one car down low to the inside hitting the wall. Now, you talked about them having that spare car. Bennett naturally has already taken it down pit lane.
Yeah, but if you look at him, it's a struggle. He's going left and he's got the wheel turned right.
He's definitely going to have to take the spare car. Do we have some actual takers for pit lane? Yes, we do.
Add some insult to injury, Joe. He overshot his box.
Oh, geez. Not the way to start things. We're only at lap 13, but split decision on who wants to pit and who does not. Beard, Garin, Ravon all stayed out. Peel's going to stay out. Looks like Ariano is also going to keep racing. So just a small handful who are looking for track position.
Yeah, Joe, sometimes I think these decisions are a little harder to make than those late race decisions because you're 14 laps in and your tires are really just starting to come in. They're not worn. They're starting to work. And now you're kind of taking a couple steps back with that and need a few more laps to warm them up. But at the same time, you're 14 laps newer than the guys that didn't pit. So it's one of those decisions that could play a key part. It's early in the race, and they got to set up for later decisions coming down the line.
We did have one driver change his mind. Yazik decided he's just going to skip his pit stall. He keeps going, takes the track position, comes out 8th. Now Stouffer was the first out from the pit stops with Frankenfield behind him. That's going to put them 9th and 10th. Krumray next, and then Tyler Graff. Hopefully Graff was able to get any damage he may have gotten from that contact fixed.
Rick Ravon up atop, he had that little bit of a scare in a couple laps ago. I think it's going to be one of these nights, Joe. They seem to start very calm and single file, and it only took them about 4 or 5 laps, and then it was full send from there on.
Yeah, I have to admit, the single file at first surprised me, and then, well, like you said, everything you kind of expect around here in an IndyCar came out. Oh, and Yazik is coming in. Oh, and he misses his pit stall.
That's so easy to do in these cars.
Huh. So I guess he wants to send himself to the very back to get out of trouble. No, he's out of the car. Ooh,
interesting.
Something is going wrong with the 55, and I'm not sure what. We'll try and get information on that later. And I think the lights are out on the pace car, if I'm seeing correctly. Yes, they are. So we are going green this time by.
And of course, Joe, in the IndyCar, we got the single file restarts. Only real rule is you can't pass on the inside. Everything else is fair game.
All right, Brian Yazik is back in the car, and he's going. Maybe he just had to do a quick reset with something. Not sure what. We'll try and talk to him later. We know he likes to talk, so we'll probably get a chance to have some words with him. All right, Brian Beard. He led the initial start. He's going to lead the restart, the first of the day, hopefully the only one of the day. We could go green all the way to the end. We've had some weird things so far this season. Pace car is in. Green flag is out. Brian Beard on the loud pedal. And as they start to pick up speed, they're going to string out now, but not for long. In the back, look at them really stacking up. Someone must have caused a checkup.
Yeah, we see them 3 wide, almost 2 rows full of them. A lot of good driving, though. A mistake, you hope the guys around you can compensate. You just need a little help from them, and it looks like everybody's going to get through. It's still kind of tight. These guys not really want to give a lot of space early on.
Yeah, that's from peel on back that we're seeing all those issues, and that's on fresh tires. So I wonder if maybe they were just very cold tires and had some wheel spin as the cars try to get things worked up here. Way up high, that was Sean Fay. Let's ride on board with one of our highlighted drivers and see what his perspective is like in the middle of this mayhem.
You see him just trying to hold that line, getting a little outside the preferred line, having to just lift a little bit just to keep him off the wall. And you see how much of a difference it makes. You hope to catch that line again, but you see those guys just creeping away from that one little lift, getting a little high.
Yeah, I don't think that high line is quite working at this stage in the tires. Meanwhile, we've had a change for the lead. Beard lost out to Ravon, who's now up front. 3-car breakaway. Guerin is with these two. It's about, looks like a 0.2 of a second gap to the next car down.
Yeah, that little dust up on the restart allowed these 3 to get away, and they just forgot to stop. It's just watching them. They're kind of staying single file. Maybe they're working together because as they're running right now, they're just kind of gapping 4th and 5th place.
What I've seen of these 3 so far this season, I think they know what they're doing. So I imagine it is a little bit of working together in a sort of temporary truce among them. Highest driver to have pitted right now is Jason Galvin in the number 99. He's up to 7th, but he's towards the front of that huge clump of drivers.
Yeah, and you just hope those tires come in, and then you kind of hope you ride that wave.
Got a caution. Oh, it's a big wreck. Oh. I see Aliota involved in it. Greenlee is in there. Robert Bluen. This starts with Bluen and Greenlee, it seems. The number 38 was up high. He came down low, and there just wasn't free track down there. Aliota, unfortunately, is going to be the innocent bystander. He's going to come into it late.
Just being on that inside line, wrong spot at the wrong time. Oh, hate that. You hate to see that.
And the black car that you see just absolutely flying, that is Greenlee. Did anybody else get a piece of that, I wonder? Because, boy, the cars were just bouncing around. I think Timothy Bates in the number 69. Looks like he may have ran into someone, but it could have been ghost contact from his end. Not too much racing, so not expecting drivers to come in, and indeed, dutifully, looks like almost everybody stays out except, some of the back of the field. Here we go.
Yeah, Joe, and this is another one of those times where you gotta just take it. I mean, especially if you're in the back, it makes no sense not to pit and get some fresh tires. You know, you kind of shrink your fuel window a little bit, make it a little bit easier maneuvering to think, because sometimes it's really hard to figure out fuel strategy when you're driving. So just making it a little easier on yourself. Get 4 fresh tires, full tank of gas, and that's that many laps you don't got to worry about.
Somebody's got to reteach Yaz's popsicle man how to slow him down, because for the second time in a row, he's missed his pit stall. And maybe it's intentionally. Who knows? Last time he came back in and wound up sending himself back to the back of the field, what looked like in a specific move designed to get him out of trouble, which, to his credit, I guess kind of paid off, because he was well in the back, and so he was able to try and get out of the way of all that chaos of that wreck.
Yeah, Joe, and these guys lining up single file again. This time we get to see Rick Ravon take the green flag. You've seen Brian Beard take both the start and the first restart, so it'd be interesting to see if he gets the same jump that we've been seeing Beard get early on.
Absolutely. It did seem tough for certain drivers to try and make a go at a pass. We didn't see how Ravon made that, if Beard maybe let him through when he saw he had an opportunity, or if Ravon really powered his way by. So I'm curious if Beard will be able to make an easier return back to the point, or if he even wants to. Maybe he wants to sit behind. You know, we have that huge window on what potentially could be when you need a fuel stop. And I have to imagine a good deal of that probably due to just, you know, you could sit and ride behind someone for a long time, I would think.
Oh yeah, we got the tailwind going into turn 1, and then the nose wind and going into turn 3. So you got these things bouncing around, but at the same time, you're picking up a lot of gas saving, just that extra little push from Mother Nature herself. It's a lot of strategy, especially with these old school Indy cars. Obviously, they made a lot of, I guess, what you can call improvements on the version we're used to seeing currently, but a little bit different strategy with these bigger frames and the bigger wings.
Kind of strange to think about that these cars are now almost a decade out from when they were last used. Yeah, I know. Make me feel old. So, as we watch the pace car peel in, Rick Ravon, ooh, definitely another stack up behind them. His Beard slowed up on Guerin and Peel. Nobody looked to make actual contact, but they got very close to each
somebody
other.
getting really wild down on the apron.
Yeah, I just saw that. Was that Graf, I think, maybe, potentially? He caught it.
I'm going to take a look here at that start for Graf. He was in and out. I don't know. I don't know if he spun it. He didn't have anybody in front of him right away. He just, oh yeah, he almost got into the, he did hard checkup. I think he broke hard, and it caused him to almost lose it. Good save by Tyler.
But we stayed green on that restart despite some serious drama. And so far, 33 runners still going. Jonathan Aliotta, unfortunately, has decided to retire the car after that last incident. Up at the top, it's not a 3-car breakaway. It's a 1-car breakaway with 2 being behind him. Beard and Green trying to get back up to Ravon. And I think it looks like they might actually be in the slipstream to run him down.
Yeah, you start seeing him get a little bigger, but that was something to see him break away even for this long. It does look like they're going to catch him, but that was impressive. That was a very, very quick start by Rick Ravon.
Riding on board with Guerin now. Yep, they're reeling him in. It was much wider than this shortly ago.
Yep.
So that drama is averted. Let's hop on board with our other highlighted driver, Andrew Peel, the number 84, as he tries to catch up to them. He's about 7/10 behind, which is what we saw before. There we go.
Like we just saw, he's probably in that slipstream from what it looks like. Yeah, it definitely looks like in about a lap and a half, he's going to be right on these guys too.
So we'll keep an eye on that. You can see they're starting to mess around up there. Actually, a little bit of side-by-side between Beard and Ravon, but he falls back. Oh, we got another wreck. Paul Jenkins, our championship leader, is involved in this one. A lot of cars, actually.
That's rough.
Still
bouncing.
Frankenfield is a major player, and he was one of the ones that started it. He got into the back of Brian Peel.
Tyler Graf just not getting any better.
Yeah, both Graf and Jenkins get into him.
A little bit of... Looks like interesting. I don't know what happened there, Joe. a lot of carnage. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, 2 cars came together and then a mess happened.
He tried to check up and maybe got a little loose, and when he got checked up, maybe got a little help from behind. It was tough to tell from that angle.
Well, it looked to me like he got into the back of the car ahead is what happened. He did not expect that because maybe the car ahead lifted a little bit in the wake going into the corner. Whatever the case, it sent him just immediately backwards, and everybody else behind kind of paid for it.
And Joe, I think you pit here. I think you got the opportunity, especially if you're toward the back of the field. 30 laps in, you come in. Looks like everybody pretty much on the same page. A few guys staying out. Might pit next time by, but pit road very busy.
Ravon and Peel have not, but they also have not pitted yet. Now, granted, we've had a lot of cautions here at the start, I believe this is our third. So they've had a chance to save fuel. Not only did they stay out, looks like Brian Peel, who has also not pitted, stays out, but a few cars behind them who have come in are going to follow suit. Garrett Galaz is out there. As for those who pitted this time, Brian Beard going to win that race off of pit road. Dan Guerin and Brandon Schoen going to follow them out. That's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We've had a couple cautions. We're going to reset. We'll come back with more action here with the Throwback Indycar Series here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Welcome back to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We are watching round 5 here in the IndyCar Throwback Series here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And up at the front is Rick Ravon leading Andrew Peel, leading Brian Peel. Those three have not pitted. Everybody else has at least once. Garrett and Galaz round out your top 5 here on the restart. We've had 4 cautions already, and we are getting ready to come back on lap 33. So as the pace car gets ready to peel off, how is this difference in pit strategy, which has frankly been somewhat messed up, going to affect the racing if we get a long run here? Can Rick Ravon hold on to that lead? What's Andrew Peel got for him? Once again, a checkup. We've been seeing this every single time. And this one is a lot messier as there's a few drivers making contact. Brian Beard loses a ton of places. He was our pole sitter before, and I think they're going to get away with it, but they might get a little bit of a talking to from the stewards after that one.
It's something you got to worry about. That's why that pit strategy comes into play. If you always take that risk, you're going to be back in there in that mayhem, and we've seen that. Was that 3 restarts in a row now?
Up at the front, Rick Ravon still being followed by Andrew Peel. staying right with him. They've dropped Brian by a fair margin, but we should see that draft bring him back in. But as we watch on board the 84 of Andrew, one of our highlighted cars, he's staying right in the tire tracks, but does not make a move to pass yet.
Yeah, Joe, it didn't look like he had any intention of trying to get around him on this lap. Maybe he's going to ride around. These guys have been pacing a lot of laps. I'm sure they're itching to get some green underneath.
Let's see if we get Peel starting to close in soon and see if he's more aggressive than his brother. Andrew so far just kind of sitting there, patiently waiting. They're also starting to reel in John Garrett and Hugo Laz, those top five, before you get to one of our bigger gaps. Back to Dan Guerin. Guerin was running up in the top three earlier in this race. He could yet find himself back into that mix, but Chad Frankenfield right now has the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, and that could be a result of hitting your marks or getting pulled around by a car. But right now the action's up front. And again, these guys are just content, but just being content has now allowed fourth and fifth place to creep back up into the mix. And pretty soon those guys back there, if they can keep this run going together, we might see a lot of guys together for the first time in a long time.
I'll tell you how much this banking works in the favor of these cars. They get up to about 214, and then they only go down to about 211 in the corners with this flat-footed run. And this is around a mile and a halfer. This is just insanely fast that these cars are running. You can see Brian Peel has actually caught up to Andrew Peel now. So the top three are together, and it's just a couple more car lengths back to John Garrett. We've got a 5-car group forming now for the top spot.
Yeah, Joe, that's a mile and a half in 26 seconds.
Just ridiculous. That's short track type stuff usually, as our cars continue on around almost to lap 40 now. Garrett has gotten to the back of Brian Peel. Hugo Galaz, giving them a little bit of space, interestingly. Maybe he doesn't want to be up on top of them. Then it's our next pack being led by Dan Guerin, which is going to change to Brian Greenlee, who, Greenlee's going to lead the pack, but that's not for position. He's actually trying to get his lap back. He is right now down by 2.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be in because you want to be considerate to the guy behind you, but you don't want to give him anything because you're trying to catch up and make up one, maybe possibly 2. But, you don't want to just be a stump to drive around, but at the same time, you got to kind of be considerate of the guys that are fighting for the lead.
That's shown on the bottom side. His teammate Dan Guerin up to the top side, and then they've got Chris Stouffer in behind. Stouffer, one of the drivers who has taken wins this season. In fact, the only driver that's won multiple times out of the 4 rounds so far.
Joe's
making a movement to get up to the front of this group.
Showing the leader of that second pack, a second and a half behind Rick Devon and his little gaggle of 5 cars up here.
In fact, those 5 cars who've been relatively calm are starting to get too wide in the back of it. John Garrett and Hugo Galaz don't seem to be content to sit where they are. And Garrett immediately lifts.
Maybe he's just testing the limits. I don't know, 10, 15 laps on the tires.
I don't think that was a confidence lift. I think that was if he's going to fight me for it, I'm just going to get out of the way because you can have fun. I'm just interested in getting to the checkered flag.
Yeah, Joe, and with 90 laps to go, that's definitely a strategy I think is definitely a case of cooler heads prevailing at this point.
Give and take. They talk about that in oval racing. Right there was a give from John Garrett.
But as we've seen all night, it's just easy to get sucked back in. Yeah, he gives a little bit of space, but he knows he's going to get it back within 2 or 3 laps. Saw a little bit of a close brush with the wall up there while we were watching that.
And I saw smoke down low. I don't know what that was about. That was weird. What was that gap that you said before from Schoen up to Garrett?
It was 1.5 seconds, and that's shrinking mightily and quickly, too.
Yes, it is. It is down to half a second, less than half a second even right now. They are charging. So what happens when 2 storm cells collide here? Because we've got a huge group of cars with a medium-sized group of cars.
Well, Joe, in science class, they said that the static gets together and it crosses one another and you get lightning. And we'll see what happens because that other static cloud is coming quickly.
Who can capture it in a bottle here? Maybe someone can use it to their advantage in the chaos to get up to the front. Hugo Galaz is one of those who looks like he's trying because he's now moving into third. Brian Peel, again, a driver who just gives way, pulls up high when he sees him get aggressive. Galaz is not waiting around for anybody. The Hispano-American driver up onto the podium from fifth shortly ago.
Yeah, Joe, and 3 laps ago, 6th place was 1.5 seconds behind. Now it's 12th place, and they're coming too.
Oh boy, and there was a bit of weaving. Brandon Schoen made a move that Stouffer wasn't expecting, and he had to take evasive action. Oh, as they get really tight down at the bottom, and that is John Garrett. Almost looked like he was trying to squeeze them. Thankfully, no contact was made. That is not the type of games I want to see if I'm one of those drivers.
No, and this main pack is about single file, about 18 deep, Joe.
Ariano just about brushed the wall on the exit of 2. That's what caused me to make a noise there. I think he got away with it, but it was a little scary.
Oh, some ducking and diving back there around 10th spot. This guy's really close.
This is where it's starting to get a little bit sketchy and a lot of movement is happening. Ooh. You don't necessarily know what your neighbor is doing, especially if your eyes are on another one that's inches away. And a little bit of car contact between Crumray and Ariano. And Ariano's into the wall. The car is in the air now.
I think he got into Beard. I think Beard's around.
Yerk and Greenlee, I think, were the ones that were down in the grass.
Oh.
I just was looking back because I saw cars moving around a lot back there. This starts, I think, with Crumray and Ariano. Yeah, Ariano's up high. He tries to get low, and there's a car there. Another look at this. I can't believe they're running after this, honestly. And this is a nightmare scenario for Brian.
Lots of apron. It started it all from there.
Yeah, look at them dicing. No, not in racing like this. Watch Greenlee. He's in the black car. Catches the wheel. Oh my goodness. And just absolutely on top of Andy Yerk. I think everybody else got away with it.
Yeah, I was mistaken. I thought Beard got a piece of that. Thankfully, he didn't.
Woo! He's very lucky he did not start flipping there.
I mean,
could have been a lot worse damage.
Oh, I was just about to say that, Joe. Considering the speed in which he got hit, that was some save.
I don't know if it's a save so much as sheer dumb luck, as our drivers are now in pit lane.
I think either way, he'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody has now taken at least one stop. Ravon is in, followed by the others that had failed to take it last time. Oh, I think Dan Guerin missed his pit stall. That could be costly. First out is Chris Lanini. He did not go to his pit stall.
Did he miss his box?
Ravon is the first to have stopped. But we had 2 drivers who elected, well, 1 driver elected not to come in. Chad Frankenfield getting himself back to the front.
He looks awfully lonely out there, Joe.
I think he likes being lonely out there, considering how some of his races have gone recently. Chad is probably appreciating getting some clear air with this move. So he was, I have to imagine, waiting for his moment as to when is best to try and skip a pit stop and get himself up to the front. That seems like as good as any.
And I've yet to meet anybody who shies away from getting a little bit of camera time. So good for Chad.
You know, I've met a few drivers who really don't like camera time because something of a bit of a curse here on this channel. As soon as we go to them, something bad tends to happen.
No, it could
couple
be the
drivers will be
curse, or
ducking.
it could be a little case of worn tires. That was a pretty, for what we've seen tonight, that was a long green flag stop. We ride with Chris Lanini as he makes his stop. Um,
He and Swavely have both come in. Now we've got 30 cars still running? No, 29 cars still running. Greenlee's taking repairs after his shunt. Bennett, Jenkins, Graff, and Aliota are all DNF'd already.
that blue and yellow paint scheme, reminiscent of that old Panasonic paint scheme from the kart days. Ooh, I love that one.
Yeah. Well, it tells you how much I've been around Brian Yazik, though, because if anything, whenever I see that blue and yellow, that's the first name that comes to mind for me, because I know he rides it a lot on most of his cars. Let's see, I think the lights are still, yes, lights are still on the pace car, so at least another lap and a half left to go. Your new order is Chad Frankenfield up at the top, with Rick Gravon restarting in second, Brandon Schoen in third. Hugo Galaz still in the mix. He'll be restarting fourth, and Chris Stouffer in P5.
Yeah, Joe, and just taking a look at some of the guys that were up top. Brian Beard back in 13th. I had mistakenly called him for getting collected in that wreck. He's still going. He was up front for the first couple stints and hasn't seemed to been able to get back up. It's too bad too, because we were starting to see this field come together after a good stint of green flag running, and that caution brought it out. And so hopefully we get it again. Maybe we don't see that box up at the start like we've been seeing the last few times around.
Yeah, and lights are out on the pace car. Also, worth noting, Beard has incentive to try and stick with things here, because Jenkins is out, and Jenkins is the one he's chasing in the points. He needs a big chunk like this, because Beard's had some bad luck in the first few rounds. Where is Robert Bluen, though? Because he is third currently. He is 26th right now. So Bluen's not going to get a whole lot of points, and he won't be able to capitalize as well unless he can start moving through the field. He is still on the lead lap, so he's not out of things. And of course, Dan Guerin's been having a good day. So with him still running in 8th, he's in 4th in the points currently.
Just taking a look at Bluen. He's sporting that Canadian flag livery. Always nice to see some country pride. Joe, looks like we're going to get some green flag going.
Absolutely. Looking forward to this. Now Frankenfield, a driver that is desperate to get himself a win. Could this be his chance? We're past 50 laps into this race. We're getting close to the halfway mark even as the green flag waves. Frankenfield with a decent start. Ravon follows him. What about behind? Are we going to get another checkup, or do the drivers have control this time? This looks more orderly.
Yeah, Joe, definitely a lot more spaced out amongst everybody. We're seeing some big gaps in between cars, but we know we're going to see them suck in. About 3 laps, everybody's going to be behind each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's really no reason to be right on top of each other at a track like this. It'll all come together. First lap back, Frankenfield leading easily over Ravon, but we just said it. Ravon's going to be closing back in on the number 2, with Brandon Schoen being towed along. Back there, I see Hugo Galaz also chasing these two.
Yeah, you see Sean here, and he's trying to just keep up at this point. Like I said, while these tires come in 3-4 laps, no need to be aggressive. Still half a race to go. Just be cool to the guy in front of you, and they're just going to come to you. It's just physics. It's just racing with Indycars. It's going to happen.
Lap 66 to 67. That's our halfway point in this race. Had a few cautions along the way, but we've been getting some decent racing in between there. Jump a little bit farther back to the next pack, where it's John Garrett in there. Dan Guerin is chasing. I'm sure he'd like to work together with John to try and catch up to those in front of them. 1.3 seconds. We've seen that is not insurmountable.
No, Joe, and that's one of the things that makes racing like this so fun. You really don't even look at the intervals. You just watch these guys climb on top of each other and dance around each other and enjoy it for what it is. Obviously, you want to be as quick as possible, but when they're this close together, the interval really doesn't matter.
So across that trioval once more, and down into turn 1 they go.
You see that graphic beard with the fastest lap so far today, 25.541.
And this group has gotten very streamlined. Watch me eat my words here. But Garrett, Guerin, Keel, Crumray, Jeffers, Beard, Ariano, essentially all together. And just as I say it, yep, there we go, too wide. That's going to be Brian Peel up to the high side of Crumray.
Yeah, Joe, and at this point, you got to feel it's kind of like a collective desire amongst everybody to just keep it clean and get some of these laps ticked off under green. Oh, and as I say that, we see someone get really high. Wow, out of the groove. He's going to lose a few spots.
That's Brian Peel. So that'll send him a little bit backwards. Let's watch on board real quick. See what the replay shows, because I had looked away for just a split second.
Oh, that was looks like some contact.
Those are getting out.
Elbows out. He was checking to see if everything was intact and fell back in line. Hopefully it wasn't too much. Doesn't seem to affect him too much.
Let's head back to the leaders, because that has started to pick up the pace. Frankenfield is still at the point, but look at Ravon, Galage, Schoen, and Stouffer now in the mix. Andrew Peel in there as well. They're all fanned out, and there is no order like there was before. Near contact with first, second, and third.
Keep it together, boys. Joe, do we know how many laps are on Frankenfeld's tires?
Last time he was in was...
No, he's around. Oh, he got hit. Oh, that was a... Oh, and they're still wrecking. They're still wrecking.
More cars coming in.
No, these guys got to slow down.
It's hard to get slowed down from
12
miles an hour.
I'm just watching them pile into each other. I feel so bad watching it. You want to stop them.
What in the world? So it looks like this starts between Galaz and Frankenfield.
Oh, he can't be happy.
Frankenfield staying in his line while Galaz is trying to come down. And that is just a split-second slide up into Stouffer and the outside wall. This is Frankenfield's view. Couldn't see the contact from that side, but... try another angle here.
See if we can get the shot from above and see what happened here.
Yeah, this is a good idea. He moved down into him.
Yeah, he did.
Easily.
It's unfortunate. Oh, and some of the secondary crashes, those were brutal too.
And I saw Brian Beard spinning. Did he actually make contact? I'm checking to see if our second of the championship points had any sort of damage from that. Oh, yeah, he got big damage. Brian Beard got big damage, and he's still limping it back to the pits as we come back live.
Yeah, Beard looks like he got some. Stouffer got some. Galaz, obviously Frankenfield. Just a lot of names just taken out in that one. And it just didn't look like it needed to happen, Joe.
I don't think it did either. Guerin is the one who came out the best out of things. The fourth driver in the points is now fourth on track and probably the best poised to capture a lot of points here.
And back up front, Rick Ravon.
Once again. Well, I mean, this is kind of explain why everybody wants that top spot. Stay out of the way. Granted, that didn't work out for Frankenfield.
No, and you're not safe anywhere.
And this has got to be frustrating for Chad, because for those who've been following this season, remember he lost out on a potential victory at Auto Club, was fighting for the win when he got touched from behind. He got moved out of the way on the final lap of the race of all things, and that cost him a lot. Here he was up at the lead once again. And for the second time, it was, from my perspective, something not of his doing.
Well, not to perpetuate any theories here, but I do recall just, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes ago talking about a certain race car by himself, enjoying it, and that there happens to be a curse and nothing. But I'm not going to say anything about that. So just tough night for him.
You asked who doesn't like screen time. There you go. There we go to halfway as well as they cross the line. This is, I believe, caution number 7 that we've got right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've had a few pace laps tonight, yes, so far.
Which feels strange because it even though it feels like we've had a lot of cautions, it also feels like we've had a lot of green flag racing. amongst
Joe,
it as
I
well.
think it's just because it's just so quick. I think because a lap just tick off. I mean, we hit one point to talk about. That's 2 laps gone, and it's just, shut up, guys. Let us watch the race. It's almost over.
Well, the herd is thinning right now because I see Swavely looks like he might get back out on track. Galaz is taking repairs after that big wreck. Frankenfield is also taking repairs. Now, was Frankenfield involved with another? Because I thought he still had a spare car, but it appears maybe that's not the case.
No, he's not. He's not even in the car.
Uh, so that could be another race done for him, which means I think 26 still running out of 34 starters after half the race gone. Be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 drivers lost. So we're looking at 16 for the whole race if it continues at this path. That'd be about half the field.
Yeah, it looks like the 46 of Rich Swavely. It looks like he's going to be your last runner scored right now. Everybody else behind him is either parked or getting repairs.
Ryan Beard fans, good news is he's still going. He's taking it in and out, and he's actually a lap down. So it took him so long to struggle to get back. He's unfortunately lost a lap. So I think he's just going to top up here, and as the lights go off, try to set up his strategy for being a little more flexible.
And that's one of those inherent flaws that we all have as racers. You keep going. It doesn't matter how hard it is. You're not gonna quit a race as long as the engine's still running, and it could lead to some long races. I've been in a few of those myself.
See, I wouldn't consider that a flaw. I consider that a virtue. It's a never give up attitude of drivers. What you need is, if you want to win races, if you want to win championships, you just cannot call it quits when you still got something in the car, something in you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, going to restart on lap 68. And once again, Rick Ravon on the point with Andrew Peel and Brandon Schoen following suit. We've had a couple messy restarts. What's this one going to look like? They're already kind of checking up a little bit up there. Come on, boys. We can do this. We got a good one last time. Nice and smooth on the throttle from most of them. That looks nice. Nice and pretty as everybody starts to pick up the pace.
Yes, mission 1 accomplished. Get away clean.
Schoen going to be side by side, though, on the restart with Peel for second place. Peel decides it's better to just get single file. He's going to lift, lets him by, but that's also going to allow Dan Guerin to use his momentum. So Guerin is actually going to take third away from Peel. Or will he?
I don't know, Joe, but the side-by-side is definitely accelerating that congealing effect. We see first through 8th almost in a single file. Possible attempt on the lead. Looking outside from Schoen.
Schoen trying to carry the momentum, but Ravon hugging that bottom line. That's something we haven't talked about a lot, is trying to get past people. Is that bottom line the place you got to be? Or is it too shallow a banking with the progressive banking here?
Well, or it depends, I think, on the run, because right now you want these tires to hook up. So it might be a little tougher. Therefore, you might be lifting just a touch, and it may not be the line. But I think 3 or 4 laps into these runs, that's where you want to be. You want to make the guy go around you on the outside, and it looks like that's what Schoen is trying to do.
And Guerin's trying to follow with him, but then decides, well, if it's working on the bottom side for the leader, why not follow suit? And it's going to pay off because past his teammate, there goes Brandon Schoen a little bit farther back. Can't quite keep the same speed with a longer distance, and here comes Paul Crumray.
That's interesting, Joe. We see kind of what we see on some of the super speedways and the stock cars. We saw Schoen get a little high, and he's kind of getting pushed back. He can't get in that preferred line, and he lost a couple spots. He's kind of getting freight trained. He's got to get back in, and it looks like he's going to, but he went from second and challenging for the lead back to 4th.
But Guerin's now trying the high side to see if he can do it. It didn't work for his teammate. Not sure why he is also trying it. And that smoke is a little bit of internet issues there. Don't worry about that. Not locking up the brakes at 212 miles an hour there.
Yeah, and like we were talking about a few laps ago, Joe, he's making pass me on the outside. I dare you. That's basically what he's telling the entire field. But we're seeing that high groove start to get a few takers. I wonder if these guys have enough drive and enough skill to try to make a second line work to push that guy on the outside around the leader.
Yeah, Garen's not falling back nearly as quickly as his teammate did. So it looks like the tires are finally in a place where you can do that. Still, Krumre has got a bit of a nose ahead this time through there.
And Joe, look at that. Just like that, 9 cars, 1 second apart.
Just unbelievable. They come across the line one more time.
Oh, getting a little
Krumre's probably wondering when he's going to get the clear here.
Yeah, I was trying to look in the back. It looks like about 6th or 7th place. I don't know exactly who it was. It was Arellano getting just really dicey back there. Wow.
Wow. Gaston is back up to 5th place. Wasn't he the first wreck of the night?
I think so, Joe, but there's been 6 since then, so a lot of time to make up.
Yeah. Strategy has certainly been able to come into play as well as that spare car, which certainly is handy to hold on to when you've got it.
Well, I know we mentioned those fuel windows pre-race. A lot of flexibility, but also a lot of stops. So let's tear up another sheet and start a new notebook.
Well, I have a feeling that the next pit stop will probably be able to take it to the end for most drivers. Even if it happens right now, that should be plenty with fuel saving for everybody to attempt to get to the end. This group hasn't quite settled itself out, but it has calmed down slightly. And Andrew Peel now working on trying to see if he can overtake Dan Guerin, who still isn't getting that outside line to make inroads on 2nd place.
And it does look like, Joe, a little bit that gap starting from 10th back with Sean Fay. They definitely seem to be losing touch with these groups. They got to straighten it up a little bit, maybe work together and close some of that gap. We watched a 1.5 seconds disappear in 2 laps before. It'd be interesting to see how fast 2.5 seconds disappears.
I think it'll partly depend on the cooperation of drivers. Sun coming out to cool down the track a little bit, which has by actually a pretty fair amount. It's down to 97 degrees Fahrenheit currently.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat, Joe.
Well, that's the track surface. So hopefully it's dry. I don't want a wet track at 200 plus.
You look back from Ravon here. We just you could just perch here and watch the entire race because everything's going on behind this guy. You got the Dyson weaving, and they're trying. It looks like once they achieve single file, that's like, okay, we did it. Let's get back to double file and let's start racing again.
Interesting watching. I've been trying to keep half an eye on Guerin as well to see what he's doing. He's really taking the car out wide and swinging it down in to try and take that momentum, it feels like. And it's working when he does it. He doesn't do it this time, of course, now that we're watching. I think he may have figured out a trick here.
Yeah, don't stop.
Don't stop believing, and he's still believing in this outside line. The 08 has been side by side for probably a good 15 laps at this point.
Just watching Andrew Peel back there at 4th, up and down, up and down. He's trying to find that air. And the scary part is I think it's all intentional.
Well, and everybody behind him is doing the same. It's like watching the snake in a NASCAR race. Is Jeffers, Ariano, Wubker, Figuera, they're all trying to follow exactly where he goes.
And just keeping tabs on that second pack, still holding at about 2.5 seconds behind this main group here. Let's take a look here.
Right now they're being led by Lanini. That is for position. He's up to 10th. Brian Yazik behind him with Mitrizion. Don't know why I struggle with that name so much. And we got a caution. Oh, is that one of our leaders?
Oh,
That's shown.
Yeah, he was dropping back too. It's too bad. Oh, he's not.
That was with Figuera.
Not sure if he has a fast repair left.
So we got the replay. Unfortunately, Schoen was just in a bad place at a time that really wasn't unfortunate. It was just Vigera took an evasive maneuver from Webker, chopping down low.
He didn't have a chance.
No. As soon as Vigera shot up high.
Oh, this should be fun, Joe. On board with Vigera.
He hardly notices it from his. There's a little thunk, and he goes, "What was that?" And Schoen pays the worst of the price.
That is something, right? I mean, you'd never know he hit him. You would never know from that view.
I think the biggest tell for him is probably just a 4X marker appearing on his screen.
Or another angry driver on the radio.
Yeah. You called out before what were obvious pit stops. I think I'm going to take your thunder away from you. I think this is a call for a pit stop this time.
I agree, Joe. But again, we're right on that cusp. You know, it's what about my math is terrible. It's getting late over here. What, just under 50 laps? So if you go from here to the checker flag, you're going to make it on gas, but those tires are going to be screaming.
We really think drivers can make it. We've got, let's see, who's the lowest? Brian Beard, 18 laps ago, but he's a lap down.
I'm just watching Schoen.
Gonna...
I'm sorry, he's trying to navigate this thing into the pits with all the things going on right now. He's just dodging everybody. It's just something to watch. I'm sorry, Jeff.
It's okay. Crumray is out behind Ravon. That's first and second. Very tight for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, though. About 5 cars together.
Schoen did have the fast repair, and he just used it.
So Beard and Swavely stay out to get laps back. And again, it's, let's see, just under 15. So, yeah, Beard could potentially go to the end if you make 70 laps on fuel. If. This is a big if.
Well, we'll see. I don't think we've had a green flag run that long so far tonight, but just natural selection, a lot more room, out there. Let's hope we can get some nice, clean racing.
That's a good point, actually, about the cautions. I didn't think about that, because if he gets his lap back here, Beard's back on the lead lap. If he gets a caution, that puts him back on the same strategy as everybody, or better strategy, actually, because he can pop in for new tires if everybody elects to stay out.
Yeah, so that's one thing it's definitely making for us, is something to watch with the remaining laps, because we could take pit stops out of the equation. Some of the guys, I don't think anybody out there is going to want to be the one guy that stops for tires. So we get a long green flag run, we're going to see some different strategies, because it's just we haven't seen one so far tonight.
Still waiting for the lights to go out, and that's when we'll get our wave bys, and then Ravon will return to the point. Here's an interesting one. Eric Jeffers came out in third. That was a regular stop. Now, how did Jeffers get up to third? Was he there before? I'm trying to remember if we've called him at all this race. Started 14th. So he's made a fair climb. We're riding on board with the number 4 right now. This is something of a dark horse here. I'm kind of like trying to recall and look through my notes to see if he's done anything that we've talked about all race long, and then now suddenly he's looking at a potential podium.
Well, it's pretty spectacular to just show up in third place. Want to give another attaboy to the 97 car. Jeff Wopker started in 29th. He's running in 7th spot right now.
Ah, fantastic. I think we're going to get the lights out this time as they come up to the line, because those two look like they are ready to go. There we go. Getting waved around the pace car. Got a couple takers for late stops. Timothy Bates and Peter Brennan from the lead lap are just going to top up on fuel. Going to restart on lap 89. So 44 laps to go, 45 laps to go here.
Yeah, so interesting to see if Ravon is going to continue with his strategy. He seems to be keeping it keeping it really slow until he just decides to pin it. And I guess on a track like this, you can get away with that. I'm not quite sure how much the guy behind you enjoys it, but it's definitely something you can get through, get by with. As far as on a big track like this, you don't really got to worry too much about tire spin. It's something you got to consider, but not too bad on something this wide and this grippy.
The good news for Ravon is that it seems the grip is going to keep going up because it is currently 5 p.m. virtual standard time, and it's down 2 more degrees since we last looked. So I think it's going to be pretty ideal by the time they get to the end of this race if it keeps cooling the way it has. Pace car is in, and Ravon is off as the green flag waves. We get another calm start here. So far, so good.
Didn't pull away as far as he has been. Just something to note.
But from what we can tell, most everybody should be good to go to the end, at least from the stats we were given on what fuel mileage the drivers can take. Andrew Peel back there in 6 is potentially in danger of losing the top group. He'll want to try and close back in on Guerin here.
We saw Crumley, a nice little push from Jeffers. He seemed to have a run, and again, early on, like we've been seeing in a lot of these green flag runs, first few laps, everybody seems pretty content to ride around single file, let those tires warm up a bit.
Those top 4 riding up high as we look back at 5th place here. That's Ariano now leading Peel. Well back in the pack, we've got a trio. This is Matrizion with Brian Peel and Lucio Vargas. There's another name we haven't really talked about all race long. Vargas started 25th. He's currently in 17th.
Another great paint scheme with the Buzzin' Hornets on Matrizion that we saw before.
So as we watch these 3 try to continue to rifle off laps, hard to tell if they're working together or not because a few different lines being taken amongst them. Top 4 aren't working together because Dan Guerin really likes that high side. Well, more like the middle line, if anything. Still not getting him a whole lot. He's going to try it anyways to see if he can get by Eric Jeffers to get onto the podium.
So I don't want to say he's stubborn with that high line, but he really wants it to work. And you know, Joe, he doesn't have the benefit of the draft until he pops in behind on the backstretch, but he's making it work. Look at that little run he's getting, and he's the only car.
Well, as Bill Zahn likes to say, go where the others aren't. And I guess that's what he's been trying, is everybody just hugs low. If he's not going to make positions that way, might as well stay high. Would that actually save tires being up a lane like that as well?
I was just thinking the same thing. I was wondering, it's not the preferred line, and you really, I mean, you're getting some resistance in the turns, but not a lot. You know, I don't think it makes much in the grand scheme of things, but again, it could be just a different line. All he needs is somebody to go with him, though. I'm kind of rooting for him at this point.
And it is starting to work. He's gaining a little bit of ground on Jeffers. Here comes a 5th player. That's Gaston Ariano in the number 11. What's interesting is I noticed a bit ago, I didn't say anything, but Andrew Peel, who was with Ariano, intentionally went back. I didn't see anything happen to the car or any bad move. He slowed up and he went back to this group that has Webker, Yazik, Galvin, Yurk, Lamini all in it.
A couple names that we haven't been mentioning a lot tonight. Yurk up top 10. Good to see him up there. Takeshi Kitas, 13th spot. Sean Fay, 14th. A few of these guys taking advantage of some of these cautions and, you know, and I think really enjoying their time closer to the top of the field.
This is starting to work. Look at Dan Guerin. I know we've jumped back to the second group, which is closing in. But Guerin is really making inroads now. He's actually getting a nose ahead at times.
He's very persistent on that outside. I for one, and I'm a little shocked on how he's been able to keep up the pace, being the only car on that high line. You would think he's got something like it's so close to that wall in that turn.
Oh, man, look at this top pack now. This goes all the way back to Sean Fay in 14th. A 14-car IndyCar pack for the lead. And we're at the end of the race. Oh, my goodness.
No, I know. This is good. This is shaping up to be good. We got 34 laps to go here.
Those of you used to oval racing, we don't get green-white checkers in this series, so they got to keep it clean to the end. It can end under caution.
Yeah, Joe, let's hope that doesn't happen. I want more of this. This is fun to watch.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And you can see when we get those head-on shots, almost every single one is on the low side. Guerin is up there still, and then...
Oh, he's getting so close to the wall on those turns. Oh, I'd love to see how close those tires are getting to that wall.
Let's watch from Dan's view.
Thank you, director, granting my wish. I want to see this. He's been working this high line so hard. We see, and he's making it work, coming around the tri-oval. This is where he's been getting really close to that wall. He's just been riding that high line, and like I said, it's one thing to ride it, but to make it work like that, he is gaining ground on the leader.
It looked like he pinched him off there. Didn't go all the way to the outside this time on the way in, coming off the corner. Still leaving quite a bit of space this time.
Wow. This is something to watch. I'm really enjoying that. But with the side-by-side, it's letting the 3, 4, and the 5 catch up behind.
Yeah, I'm kind of mesmerized myself by Guerin. I'm just kind of taking notes. I don't get to do this racing often, but, mentally put it in the back of my head. Well, this is working for him. I might as well try it later if I ever find myself in this situation. Still, it seems like almost like he's stalling out with Krumrie. And we saw that last time in this exact same scenario. Krumrie next to him on the low line in what is effectively second, with the leader being LeBlanc. Kind of makes me wonder maybe if it has a little bit to do with the side draft or the draft of the train ahead of him, as now we're starting a lot of
jumping back there.
Holy cow. Is that Andrew Peel?
It was Andrew Peel, Joe. And he's going to lose a few spots because of it.
Whoa! When there was a car diving off, are the tires starting to go? That was Krumrie. Let's take another look at that, because maybe that's what happened to Peel. Maybe...
Oh, yeah. Apron.
Are the cars getting a little loose? Is this the longest run we've had? Oh, and Andrew's up on the wall. We'll come back live. He makes a little bit of contact with Takeshi Kita. He's going to get out of the way, but the car is crabbing. He is done.
He's done, but the race is still going. No yellow flag, Joe. No yellow flag.
Did he get contact? No. Or yes. Rather, my brain was on the tires again, so it wasn't the tires that caused him the eventual race-ending issue. Peel manages to get it to pit lane and out of trouble.
And there's your phantom, Eric Jeffers, third spot. He's right on the leader's tail.
Third or second, take your pick, because there's Dan Guerin, still doing the same old thing. I would have thought that Dan Guerin, as soon as that hole opened up with Krumrie, that he would have ducked down low, but no.
I also would have thought somebody at this point would go with him. Everybody just sticking to that white line. I just feel like maybe with one or two more cars that they could make this outside line work. It's flat out. Why not try it?
25 laps to go this time. So
top 11 cars.
All right, so we have thinned the herd, like we said. But who is going to make the moves to try and get up to the front of this pack now? It's been some smooth sailing and some drivers pretty single file for a while, but now we're starting to see some dicing. Jason Galvin's one of them, and the number 99 coming up high. Maybe he's been watching, could see something working out there. Brian Yazik, not that huge of a surprise that he's gone from the back up to the front. He tends to try and wait till the end of races to get involved.
These guys really are starting to finally put their skills on display.
Yeah, and look how much closer they're racing with each other now. Gloves are off. But does that mean we get more cautions here? That could really throw a wrench in things. For fans of Brian Beard, he's actually climbed to 16th despite being on tires twice as old as everybody right now. Staying with this lead pack. This is where the action is currently.
You know, and again, a shout out to Ravon. We're watching that outside line work. That Ravon has just been sticking to that white line. He's saying, go around me. You're going to pass me on the outside. I am not giving you this inside lane.
Dan Guerin trying to do like Stouffer did, get his second win of the season and try and take some points away from Jenkins, from Beard, from Bluen. Lap traffic now coming in front of him. This is Andrew Peel. He got those repairs done and he's back out. I hope he gets down to the apron or something here.
Yeah, it's the responsibility of the guys coming up to make a clean pass, but you also got to hope that the lap car drives a nice predictable line. Doesn't matter.
Watching from Peel's view, because if he stays high, that's going to make a 3-wide situation on the banking, which is doable. We've seen it, but I feel like almost an unnecessary risk.
Oh yeah,
Cal Guerin gets very close to Jeffers that time through 3 and 4. Almost touching wheels.
He finally moves over. He's really making him earn it. Now it looks like he's I think now he's finally saying, okay guys, you can go around. I think he made his one fight, his one move.
All right, so now that the lap traffic mostly out of the way, less than 20 laps to go at this point. This is definitely our longest green flag run we've had thus far. Guerin has been desperately trying to get that outside line to work enough that he can get the lead. It gets him to second place. He stalls out. He can't go any higher. And are people starting to go with him now? You were asking for it. Here we go.
It's about time.
Jeffers thought about it, but then now he gets back low. Now he gets up high with, almost contact between the leader and Guerin.
Wow, that was close. If Ravon slipped up just a little bit, they both were going to be taken out. That was very close, Joe. Wow.
In fact, a lot of drivers are getting close. In fact, they made contact in the background. That was Galvin.
There's one spinning in the wall.
And Paul Crumray is on his lid.
Oh, we just lost. Oh, no.
Was that Guerin?
That was Guerin. We lost Guerin.
What happened there?
Oh.
Little ghost contact with Jeffers, I think. We're going to start with Galvin. Then, this admittedly wasn't Galvin's fault. There was a very close moment between Ariano and Yazik. He backs up into Wubker. Wubker backs up into Galvin. Both of them almost go around. And when eventually they find themselves caught by Crumray, he goes for a wild ride. Crumray is going to be in the red and white.
Did Yazik get lucky there?
I think Yaz did. He's going to be yelling at you after this broadcast for his last name.
I'm sorry, Joe.
It's okay. Oh, big ghost contact. So just Guerin, unfortunately, was just the internet gods were not smiling on him. Galvin takes it, or not Galvin, Yazik takes advantage of that, but did he come into pit? No, he did not. A few drivers did.
I was so rooting for him too. He's running that outside. I feel so bad right now.
I mean, it's a shame that that's what caused it, especially after the caution came out.
I feel like
when he should have been safe. Yeah.
That sucks.
Gosh. Now, he's taken his spare car, and he is back out. And he is on the lead lap, incredibly. Now, what has he got here? He's going to have a little more than 10 laps to go to gain 13 places. That is going to be one hell of a run if he can manage that.
And then what were you saying about Arellano before, about being involved in the first caution?
Yeah, and he is now in 4th. All right, so let's reset things now that we've had our pit stops. Ravon, Jeffers, Yazik, Ariano, and Lanini are your top 5. They have not pitted. You have to go down to Dan Guerin is our first car out who has pitted this caution. He's in 13th, but he's going to be promoted up one position because it looks like we got a few more takers in.
Yeah, Joe, and I feel like this is going to be probably our last good shot at a nice green flag run to end this. Might still be able to squeeze one in there, but I hope these guys race hard, but I hope they keep it clean. I want to see a good finish to this race. It's been a good one up to this point.
I want to see a green finish, and it's going to be on slightly older tires for everybody within the top 11. 34 to 35 laps old for all of them. Everybody else behind took some. We were wondering about Beard, who's currently second in the championship. He came back out in 17th. So not really where he wants to be. He could still make up a few spots, but I don't think he's in this one for the win. And he's still going to lose ground to Dan Guerin, who is in front of him. Where is Bluen in relation to him? Bluen's still behind him. Jenkins is out. Burke is out. Yerk is slightly in front of him, but by that point, Yerk is 6th in the points, so he's a little ways down from Beard. Not really a threat. So, sorry, just kind of going over exactly what's going on in the championship situation with all this craziness we're seeing. I said it was going to be a little bit unpredictable, Rocco, and I guess it came true.
I think you nailed it right on the head. It's midnight here on the East Coast. The carriage is turning into a pumpkin, Joe, and we got 13 laps to go. Let's do this under green. Unpredictable has been great. We've seen guys come from the back, go to the front. We've seen guys come from the front, go to the back. And let's see who bounces back to that front spot. I think we're going to see a real close finish.
Vaughn will lead it with the lights now off on the pace car. Let's see who some of our biggest movers are, though. Chris Lanini, 27th to 5th. And then you got a little bit better than that, Sean Fay, 30th to 6th right now. So some big runs there from drivers who've stuck with it and used this last set of pit stops to stay out and get some track position and could find themselves with a handy little points haul today. All right, through 3 and 4, and they're already checking up. All right, we don't need this again. Give us a smooth start. This doesn't need to go right back to yellow immediately. Can we get these last dozen laps under green? And can Ravon hold off all comers to try and do it? He's made some fair inroads himself as the green flag is out. 8th to 1st.
Ravon looked like he got a little squirrely on that start, spun him a bit.
He was very eager on it. He wanted to get a little bit of a jump ahead, and though it did give him some gap back to Jeffers there in 2nd place, Jeffers should have this one reeled back in pretty quickly. It's a bigger gap back to 4th. Ariano did not get away well. Jeffers being chased by Yazik.
And that gap from 1st to 2nd, just gone, just like that. Blink of an eye, he's right on him again.
Ooh, and look at them try to position themselves. Yazik trying to look low, but the door is shut. Down into 3 and 4. We're going to get 10 to go. This time by Jeffers. He's going to go for the high side. It didn't work out for Guerin. Can it work out for him? What about Yazik? Does he wait low? Does he throw his hat in with the high side? Almost once again making contact. Jeffers trying to dive down to the bottom, but Ravon is there. And he's got the bottom side taken away as it looks like hugging the white line is what Yazik wants to do as well.
Yeah, Joe, we see this 3-car dust up here. Yazik trying to find any way he can. 8 laps to go. Just trying to get his way around him. Got Jeffers there, the kind of the wild card. He's been going up and down. He's trying to do what we saw before with that high line, but he's just not being as efficient with it.
He's back in line. And Yazik is almost weaving back and forth to try to figure out if he wants to try the high line, but he decides not to. I think he wants to try and get his nose down low.
When do you make that pass? When do you think you could stick it?
I don't know. I don't know how he's going to manage to find an opening, because it seems like Ravon has just been glued to the bottom this whole time. Now he's going to try the high side. Oh, and he has to bobble up. That's going to lose him momentum. Jeffers knows it.
So a car in the side missing a nose on the apron. Looks like it's going to be ineffectual. It's not bringing out a caution. I don't know who that was. He went by kind of quick.
I think that might have been Brian Peel. I'm seeing he's slow on speed. Yeah, I heard something about no caution from the stewards. So we'll come back and check that later. Jeffers. Now he tries the high side yet again. Brian Yazik is following behind him. Behind the leader, really, of Rick Ravon. We're down to 6 laps to go at this point. Chances are going to be running out. And once again, Jeffers, we saw him do this last time he was up there. He wants to duck down low, but he cannot take it to the inside because there are cars there.
Oh, wow. Wheel to wheel. Barely touching that group behind them, watching them. Oh, how close can these guys be right now? Oh, my God.
Oh, and now they come together. Jeffers is in the wall. This has got to be a caution as everybody ducks slow behind him. 5 laps to go. Are we actually going to get a green flag finish, or is this it? It's going to be very, very tight.
That's a tough call for the stewards.
So it almost looks to me like it looks like Jeffers loses a little bit of control. If we want to get a replay on this, because
I look like Jeffers came down.
I'm pretty certain that Ravon holds his line. Yeah. Watch him on board. I want to watch the wheel here because I want to see if he has to saw it a bit or if he's just trying to steer it down.
I got really close right there. That's when I saw it. It was wheel to wheel.
No, there was no corrections going on, so he didn't lose control. He thought he could come back down, and well, there's still cars there.
Take another look at this. Yeah, he just drifted downward and really got the brunt of it. I mean, honestly, Ravon's car didn't even seem to respond at all to that.
That's a real shame because, again, Jeffers just coming quietly in and looking at a good finish. Could have worked his way home to at least a third among them. I probably would have been happy to settle for that from 14th place, but it's hard to take away that red mist. Now, I believe we'll need 2 to go this time by if we want to get racing again. We'll find out soon enough.
Joe, I know you got your ear to the ground. Hearing anything from the stewards about what we're going to do here?
Haven't quite yet. So Ariano will be bumped up to 3rd from all that, Laniti to 4th. Now, they are talking to Ariano about post-race interviews, so it almost sounds like they expect that this race is over. Again, once we get to 2 to go, we will know for sure, because if the lights are not off, that ends it. Let's take a look, see if anybody is able to recover. Remember Jason Galvin get involved in that one incident before when it was about a dozen laps to go. Well, he's back up to 10th. That was a nice recovery from him. Guerin's actually back up to 9th. Not quite what he needed to do, but, 4 or 5 spots up. Not bad. I think Guerin actually has the best result of the top 5 in the points. He does. He does indeed. Which is still pretty astonishing. considering he's in ninth. And this goes back to that stat I said at the very start of the broadcast, where we've got a very weird situation that our winning drivers are not are not leading the championship. It's just been a very strange case. Do the lights go off? I can't quite see. No,
Looks
it's
like
over.
lights are still on. This race is over, Joe.
A bit of a disappointment for everybody else, but not for Rick Ravon, managing to hold off everybody. How about Brian Yazik, though, coming from 18th to a second place finish, and Ariano from 16th to third himself. Chris Lanini won up them all, going from 27th to 4th, but just off the podium. I'm sure he could go find some champagne of his own to spray anyways after that performance. Las Vegas gives us a roll of the dice, unpredictability, a bit of gambling. And a lot of these drivers gambled on some strategies that put them in the track position that they wanted, that put them on old tires, and it paid off. Some maybe tried to come in to take tires, and it didn't. For Rick Ravon, he managed to get himself up to the point, and once he was there, he was never giving it away. So as they come out of 3 and 4, Dan Guerin couldn't get by him. Brian Yazik couldn't get by him. Eric Jeffers could not get by. He was a brick wall. Rick Ravon manages to take the win, his first of the season here in the Throwback IndyCar Series. And excuse me, that is white flag out for him. I called that a little bit early. Just realized looking at our scoring tower, we tuck that one away for the highlight reel anyways.
Joe, I wanted to stop you, but you put in so much love to that one.
I'll throw my director under the bus for him not stopping me. He's had a long day, so I'm sure he's got his brain on other things right now. I like this, though. Brick Wall Rick. Nobody seems able to get past him in that number one car.
Well, Joe, it was an exciting penultimate lap under caution, possibly one of the most exciting caution laps I've ever been a part of. So thank you for that.
It was a fun one. I enjoyed having you in. I know we've had a bit of a rotating door of co-commentators with me, but I have to admit, tonight was a blast with you alongside me in the booth. I'm sure the drivers had a ton of fun down on track. This time, for real,
so, I enjoyed it.
This time, for real, Rick Ravon is actually going to take the victory. 133 laps, Joe, not 132. I'm sure Rick would have liked it one last lap because this one wasn't a slog, but it was a long one. Ravon, your victor here today, which is going to take us to a break as we watch him go and celebrate his victory. Don't go away because we'll have the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. in Vegas, you got to roll the dice, and Rick Ravon did to take the victory as he's parked it on victory lane here. Brian Yazik is going to take home second place here for round 4 of the Throwback Indycar Series. And before I get into the results, I just want to remind myself about the sponsor, because it's time for the Rogue Energy post-race show. Rogue Energy drink is designed to replace unhealthy canned energy drinks, coffee, and even traditional pre-workouts. Rogue Energy is sugar-free and loaded with vitamins, antioxidants, and nootropics. Scoop, shake, drink, win. Use promo code UCORA Indy to get 10% off of your purchases at rogueenergydrink.com. As we mentioned, Ravon, the winner, with Yazik following home in second under caution, Ariano in third, rounding out the podium. Chris Lanini taking a well-earned fourth, with Brandon Schoen with the 5th place, and it's Sean Fay in 6th position. Takeshi Kita, a nice 7th. Again, another quiet runner, 21st to 7th, which we should have expected because we've seen Takeshi do that on the roadside before over in PRL. John Garrett with an 8th, who could have been in for a potential victory but ran into trouble. And Dan Guerin, similar woes, winding up in 9th today. Jason Galvin coming back from late issues to get a top 10.
Yeah, Joe, and the 11th spot, we got Andy Yerk. Quiet all night, but a nice solid finish for him. Lucio Vargas in 12th spot. We had Mitcherson and Brian Beard, who led early on, but unfortunately fell back a little bit. He finished 14th. Peter Brennan in 15th. Jeff Lubker, who definitely did move up a lot in the race. Shout out to him. Scott Rupp, 17th. Paul Kremley, we saw him up front for a little bit. He finished in 18th spot. Robert Lewin and Eric Jeffers, who, again, was up front up until late, ended up in 20th spot.
And then from there on down, it's drivers who were a lap down or more. Quite a few DNFs from Figuera on down. Essentially, they did not get to the checkered flag. Now, I don't see Rick with us, so we'll take a moment for him to celebrate while we talk to our second place finisher, Brian Yazik, who joins us here in the booth. And Yaz doing his normal strategy that we're used to seeing from him, where he kind of lets it fall to the back and lets the race come to him. And then, Brian, once it came to those last couple cautions, suddenly you were a major player, it seemed.
Yeah, that that kind of worked. It was tough, tough road to hoe with that car. It's, it was just the way that the setup was, and it wasn't a bad setup. Drove amazing. It's just you kind of topped out on 6th gear. So what I really focused on was trying to take a little easier way through the corner, because I was noticing as it would go in the end of the run, guys would start pushing up. So I figured if I could get the corner exit nailed down, probably be in a pretty good spot.
And we wondered about those tires. The longest green flag run we had was there towards the end. I want to say close to about 40 to 50 laps. How did they feel by the end of that? Were they getting loose at all or tight, or did it affect the racing in any way?
I mean, you could feel it, kick up on corner exit, kind of like what I was talking about there. But I mean, I ran the kind of the stint before the last. We ran hard and pitted, and I looked at the tires and it wore like 2%, and the temps were perfect. So it was like, well, the tires really don't matter. So it would just get to the window and focus on the corner exit.
Boy, they were rock hard today then, I guess.
Yeah.
Good to have those.
Put the Lotus tires on there.
Yeah.
Curious.
But gosh, I mean, talk to us about some of the big wrecks that we saw. That had to be scary, flying into those, sort of your own Days of Thunder moment when you see cars flying around like that.
I mean, you could put together a YouTube compilation of some of the crap that I missed tonight. And it's, I don't know, like maybe the car was a magnet for whatever was going on. Maybe everybody liked the color yellow. I don't know what in God's green earth was going on there, but luckily we skidded through all of it with our HPP simulation machine, Midwest Simulations, the spotlights. Let me tell you what, that's where it was at. The spotlight system that Midwest Sims put out, top notch. And we wouldn't be talking to you guys, at the end of it if it wasn't for those.
Always got to get those sponsors in. But thanks for coming and talking to us, Brian. Congratulations on a second place. Look forward to seeing you more in this series.
Yeah, we're going to try and carve out some time to, I don't know if it'll be the full season, but we're going to try and carve out some time to get over here and run with these guys. This is a great league, great organization. Scott's a hell of a guy, putting this whole deal on and things like that. So it's wonderful. You know, if you're kind of on the fence and you think, hey, I want to get in there and see what these guys can do and see if I can match up to it, I'd sign up. You won't regret it. It's great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun for us to cover and to watch. And that was our second place finisher, Brian Yazik. Up next, our victors finally settled down from spraying the champagne. Rocco has caught up with Brick Wall Rick Ravon.
Rick
Yeah,
Ravon.
Rick, that's oh, wow, we've been calling you the wrong thing all night, but you know what? You won, so it doesn't matter. But
Who
yes,
cares?
that's what Joe called you at the end. He called you the brick wall, and you won twice, according to Joe, just so you know. But Rick, why don't you take us through that race? You it looked like you were just loving that inside line. You were daring people to drive around you.
Well, you know, a track like this and with these cars, they're just stuck like glue. And I realized early on, actually in practice, I realized that nobody was going to get by whoever was leading the race, up top. It was impossible. So I said, well, I got to get up there. And once I get up there, I'm just going to stay down low. And as long as the pit stops, fall into place, everything should be, it should work out okay. And who was it? Somebody was up there. Who was it? Garen, I think maybe. He was up there trying to get around, and he couldn't get by. And if he couldn't get by, believe me, nobody could. So, like I said, it's just a matter of pitting at the right time, the yellow flags and everything else, and just basically staying out in front. Because if you got behind, you were not going to be able to pass the leader.
Yeah, generally we figured that if you're in the back of the pack, that's where you're going to run into some issues. But we saw a couple of the leaders run into their own issues, so you're definitely fortunate to avoid some of that. It was fun to watch you race on that. So you won. You have the opportunity now. Who you thinking?
I want to thank Hugo for wrecking the leader. That was the best thing that happened. So thanks, Hugo. No, in all seriousness, no, Franken, what's his name? Frankenstein, Frankenberry, Franken something. He got screwed. He really did. And if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have been able to get back up to the lead. But that happened, and we were able to stay out in front. But I want to thank. I got to tell you, this is an amazing league. We had a huge field here tonight, and despite the huge field, the yellow flags were still at a what I would consider to be a minimum for. What do we have? 33, 34 cars or something? It was insane. But I want to thank all the guys who raced out there, raced hard and raced clean. I want to thank my wife for supporting me. I'm a real pain in the ass when it comes to this sim racing stuff, and she just lets me do my thing, and I'm grateful for that, and she supports me and watches. I love you, honey. I know you're upstairs waiting for me in bed. I'll be up there soon to celebrate. I want to thank my daughter. She also, she watches and supports, and I can't say enough. I'm just so happy. I'm grateful to the Lord. I'm grateful to Jesus. Thank you so much for this win. And earlier tonight in another league, we raced at Indianapolis, a 60 lapper, and I won that one. So, hey, I did the double tonight. I'm feeling great. This is awesome. I love these guys. These guys are such good racers.
Well, Rick, we'll let you go get into celebrating twice and enjoy the rest of your night, man.
Oh,
It was
what does that
awesome
mean, by
watching
the
it
way?
tonight.
You got to let me in on that little secret.
You won 2 races. You're going to celebrate twice, all right?
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty pooped after doing the first one.
Very cool, man. Well, like I said, it was fun watching you race. Congratulations tonight. And then definitely take care. Hopefully see you up here again.
Yes, I hope to be here the next race in 2 weeks, but they're starting a NASCAR series. So, oh man, I love I love Ucora, man. The ultimate conquest. Fantastic league. I'm having a great time out here with these guys. Thank you so much. God bless you.
That was Rick Ravon. We're going to get that name right next time. Our winner and third place finisher was Gaston Arellano. With Gaston, you were another one that I don't think we really expected to be up there towards the end. You kind of snuck your way back after some very early problems. Were you discouraged at all by the early wreck?
First of all, hi guys. Sorry about my English. It's been a while since I don't talk, so my pronunciation is a little bit rough. And yeah, it was a surprise because I didn't expect to finish third. I started 16, so also in time of the race I was like 20. I don't know. but happy with the result. The thing is, I do I'm sorry, I do a smart pit strategy, so that got me into fifth, I think, and then fighting my way to the top.
Certainly did. You'll hear it in the broadcast if you go back and watch how shocked we were that you managed to get your way back up after being one of the first wrecks of the night. And uh, talk to us about your experience on ovals because you seem to fare well here. You said it was some due to strategy. Do you see yourself maybe being able to repeat a podium at Iowa in a couple weeks?
I hope so. I like racing in ovals. It's my main category, you know. Anyway, in the first race, I think I qualified fourth, but I got some trouble in the race. So yeah, I hope to do my best in the next race.
Well, we hope so as well. Again, congratulations on a podium and best of luck when we head out to the Midwest.
Okay, thank you very much.
That was Gaston Ariano. Lastly, we have an interview with Brian Peel. Now, you might be wondering why we talked to someone who was 23rd. Well, it's more because, Brian, you are apparently one of the official sponsors of this race, 9-4 Motorsports. Tell us a little bit how you got involved with them.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'm not very happy with that 23rd finish. I hate being mediocre, so I must strive to do better next week. But I appreciate you having me on to talk. And 9-4 Motorsports is it's not easy to put into short words what it is, but basically I say it's a motorsports maintenance and preparation business. We repair, maintain, build race cars. We also provide at-track services like arrive and drive programs for race events, for track days, for private tests. So we try to tailor our opportunities to whatever a driver needs so that we can meet their needs to the best of our abilities.
Obviously, that'll be important in these days where a lot of people are really investing some time in sim racing since we've got time to do that. But
Yeah.
uh, tell me if I have my notes right? Is Andrew your brother out here today, or is that a different relation?
Well, my parents say he's my brother, but we look totally different and act totally different. So, yes, we're related. He's my brother. He's about 10 years younger than me, so I'm getting all the lessons and trying to give them to him. So, yeah, he's my brother.
Listen, I totally understand. I'm dark haired and hazel eyed. My brother is blue eyed and blonde. So go
Nice.
figure.
Yeah.
Uh, so obviously your involvement with this series has been a huge help and we appreciate you sponsoring. How did you get to know Scott? How did you get involved with the series?
Well, I started somehow I saw where he was doing a hosted race at either the end of 18 or early 19. Trying to get some guys together to do this series. Looked at his website and saw really he kind of poured out his heart what he wanted out of sim racing and what he was hoping to grow the series to. So I originally just started practicing and racing, and then I've always wanted to connect new drivers to what we do, wheel-to-wheel racing, and up until recently, it hasn't really been easy, or there hasn't been a good way to connect sim racers straight to wheel racing. So I talked with my wife and some other people who are involved with the business, and we decided that sponsoring the series would be a great opportunity to get to know some of these sim drivers who take it very seriously, who have goals and aspirations, not only on the sim but maybe in real life. And so we did last season and had a great time doing it. Got to meet a lot of guys, and when Scott was talking about 2020, we definitely wanted to renew that, and so we did, and we still just hadn't really figured out how to make that link between the sim racers and the wheel to wheel, getting into wheel to wheel racing. So a couple weeks ago, we've had some time off. I haven't had to be at the shop working all the time, and we just started brainstorming of how we can more easily bridge that gap for guys who are wanting to move up to wheel racing, whether it's racing or track days, even autocross. And we decided that it made sense both business-wise and personal-wise. What I'm trying to accomplish, what I want to give to other people when they're moving forward, is we decided to offer a driving experience for the 2020 champion in the Throwback Indycar Series. So we are going to do that for whoever wins the series at the end of the year is going to get the chance to come to a track with us. We'll work with that driver to make sure it's logistically comfortable for them and us to go to an event and put them through what would be almost just like a test that we take a new driver through before we let them in the race cars to race with us. So it's very exciting. I hope everybody is aware of it, and hopefully they're as excited about it too.
Well, I have to say that we're very excited for more of the racing that's going to come and hopefully get a better finish in future races. But thank you for coming and talking to us, Brian, and we'll see you hopefully in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, guys. You guys do a great job promoting not only us, but the other sponsors, the D2 Race Designs and Rogue Energy, Midwest Simulations. We can't appreciate the professionalism that you guys bring and lift up our businesses when you talk about it. So thank you guys so much.
Well, thank you very kindly for those words. That was Brian Peel, who is unfortunately 23rd today, but is really a winner for all of us who enjoy this series with 9-4 Motorsports sponsoring it. All right, we're going to close out with that with a thank you to our sponsors as well. We mentioned 9-4 Motorsports, but also don't forget the post-race show, which is wrapping up now, is brought to you by Rogue Energy, and you can use their promo code UCORA-INDY to get 10% off of your purchases at rogueenergy.com. But also thank you to Midwest Simulations. They have a promo code THROWBACK if you'd like to get some off of their Spotlight's visual spotting system. And of course, we can't thank D2 Race Designs enough for sponsoring that pole position challenge that they've got. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Rocco, Sean, and Doug. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. Our Twitter is @GSR Channel, Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_RAM. We've got a merchandise store that you can check out and get some swag at storenvy.com. So that I don't wear out my voice, just check the link in the description below. But while you're there, make sure and subscribe to YouTube. Our YouTube channel will have a big red subscribe button just below the video. It'll be that easy to catch everything here on GSRC. The next race, we talked about it, we're going to Iowa. That'll be Thursday, April 23rd at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.